If your AI agent can take action, it needs approval gates. Not everywhere, but exactly where the risk changes. A lot of people hear human in the loop and think it means slowing everything down, every output reviewed, every task manually checked, every automation turned into another approval queue. That is not the goal. A good approval gate does not block the whole workflow. It blocks the moments where the agent's decision could create real damage, sending a message, changing a system, closing a ticket, changing a vulnerability priority, triggering a deployment, granting access, deleting something. Those are the moments where approval matters. So in this video, I want to show you how to place approval gates inside an AI agent workflow without killing the speed that made the agent useful in the first place. An approval gate is a checkpoint between the agent's recommendation and the system of record. The agent can still reason, it can still gather evidence, it can still draft the update, it can still explain why it thinks the action is correct. But before that action becomes official, a human or policy check approves it. That is the key idea. The gate does not stop the agent from helping. It stops the agent from acting alone in high impact moments. And that makes the agent much easier to trust because you are not relying on a prompt to prevent every bad action. You are designing the workflow so risky actions have a control point. A simple way to design approval gates is with a risk ladder. At the bottom, the agent reads information. That is usually low risk. Then it drafts a response or summary, still fairly safe because nothing has been sent or changed. Then it suggests a decision. Now the risk is higher because the recommendation can influence humans or downstream systems. Then it writes to a system of record. That is a major step up. Then it triggers an external action. That is where the strongest approval rules should live. Read, draft, suggest, write, trigger. You do not need the same approval rule for every level. You need approval where the agent crosses from analysis into impact. The first common approval gate is external communication. If the agent is writing something that leaves your environment, be careful. Emails, customer messages, Slack updates, client reports, public posts, vendor notifications. The agent can draft these quickly. But until you deeply trust the workflow, sending should require approval. This avoids tone mistakes, wrong recipients, missing context, and accidental disclosure. A strong pattern is draft only by default. The agent writes the message. The human approves, edits, or rejects. Those edits become feedback for future improvement. The second approval gate is production rights. Anytime an agent changes a system of record, you should ask what could go wrong. Updating a ticket, changing a CRM record, editing a database field, changing a project status, closing an alert, marking control complete. These actions may look small, but they change what other people believe is true. That is why production rights need stronger controls than read-only analysis. A good approach is to let the agent prepare the change and show the diff. What was the old value? What is the new value? What evidence supports it? What policy allowed it? Then approval is fast because the human is not starting from scratch. They are reviewing a prepared decision. The third approval gate is security and priority decisions. This is where AI agents can be very useful, but also very risky. A vulnerability triage agent might recommend severity. A GRC agent might mark a control as satisfied. A security operations agent might classify an alert as benign. A support agent might decide a request is low priority. Those decisions can affect risk. They can affect response time. They can affect compliance evidence. They can affect what humans investigate next. So approval gates should trigger when the decision changes priority, severity, ownership, compliance status, or incident status. Do not make the human redo the whole investigation. Make the agent present evidence in a reviewable format. Decision, confidence, required evidence, missing evidence, reason for the recommendation. Then the human can approve or correct it quickly. The strongest approval gates belong around actions with high blast radius, money, access, deletion, deployment, legal or compliance commitments, anything public, anything hard to reverse. For these actions, one approval may not be enough. You may need two-person approval. You may need a policy rule. You may need a change window. You may need a rollback plan. You may need an audit log. The agent can still help prepare everything. It can gather context, create the change plan, draft the message, and assemble evidence. But the final action should not happen silently. High blast radius means high control. And the biggest mistake is putting approval everywhere. That creates fatigue. People stop reviewing carefully. The queue gets ignored. The agent becomes slower than the old process. So the goal is selective approval. Low risk reads should run freely. Drafts can move quickly. Suggestions can be sampled. Routine writes can be approved in batches once trust is established. High risk actions stay gated. You can also graduate actions over time. Start with every write requiring approval. Then allow low risk writes after the agent passes review for enough examples. Keep sampling a percentage of approved automation. If override rates spike, move the action back behind approval. That is how you get speed without giving up control. Here is a cybersecurity example. Imagine a vulnerability triage agent. The agent reads scanner findings, asset context, exposure data, exploit intelligence, and ownership information. The agent is allowed to read everything it needs. It is also allowed to draft a recommendation. But approval gates control the risky actions. If the agent wants to change a vulnerability from high to low, approval is required. If the asset is externally exposed, approval is required. If exploit intelligence is present, approval is required. If ownership is missing, the agent cannot finalize the triage. If the ticket will be closed, approval is required. This does not make the agent useless. It makes the agent safer. The human reviewer receives a prepared package, finding summary, asset exposure, exploit context, recommended priority, evidence checklist, missing data, proposed ticket update. Now the reviewer can make a fast decision without trusting a black box. Here is the checklist. Map the agent's actions. Separate read draft, suggest, write, and trigger. Mark which actions leave your environment. Mark which actions change production state. Mark which actions affect risk, money access, compliance, deletion, or deployment. Require approval at those points. Show the old value and new value. Show the evidence. Show missing evidence. Log who approved the action. Track edits, rejects, and overrides. Review the override rate. Graduate low risk actions only after evidence supports it. Move actions back behind approval when behavior changes. That is an approval system, not just a button. Autonomy should be earned, not assumed. A good AI agent does not need unlimited permission on day one. It needs a safe path to become more trusted over time. Start with read only, move to draft only, add approval gates, measure overrides, graduate low risk actions carefully. Keep high impact actions controlled. That is how you build agents that are useful, fast, and safe enough to operate in the real world.